You're on, Lance.
My name is Lance.
Hi, Lance.
It's
Tell us about yourself, Lance.
Introduce yourself.
I play guitar and I sing songs and I speak a little bit here and there and have the privilege of being able to write and publish books and thank you. I'm the founder of I Am University, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening in this room. There's a lot happening to get us all here. There are so many things I am ready to share with you today about the unconscious becoming conscious, how darkness becomes light and a new world is born, and also enlightenment favors the courageous. There's something about this song that I'm going to start with. It's a very emotional song, so it's not really a happy song. It's very emotional. It's very honest about this thing we call life and how full of struggle the experience can be. And so the writer of this song, his name is John Foreman. It's played by the band that he's in is called Switchfoot, and he's a really excellent songwriter. And a lot of the songs kind of have this very thoughtful, ponderous nature to them, where it's just like looking around at the world and asking, why are things so upside down or so crazy, or why is there so much pain? And he brings a strong faith element into his writing. So oftentimes he's like having this wrestling type of conversation with God, like, where are you? Why are things like this? And so I want to start with this to take us somewhere. Maybe we can put ourselves into the shoes of this individual who, and for some reason, when I hear the song, I see a person sitting at a bar on New Year's Eve night. Because in the song, it ends up saying, is this the new year, or is it just another desperation? So the person sitting there watching everyone do what everyone does and has that sense of something's just not quite right. We're celebrating, but maybe it's just another desperation. Maybe it's just another mask. Maybe it's just another way to be avoidant, that we're not seeing ourselves. And we'd rather drink or dance or smoke or party or Instagram or whatever, so we don't have to look at ourselves. This is the blues. The name of it is the blues. It's not a blues song. Is this a new year or just another night? Is this a new fear or just another fright? Is this a new tear or just another desperation? Is this the finger or just a hidden miss? Is this the kingdom or just a hidden miss? I miss direction, Lost in all this desperation. Is this what they call freedom? Is this what you call pain? Is this what they call discontented fame? It'll be a day like this one when the world caves in. When the world caves in. When the world caves in. I'm singing this one like a broken piece of glass. Broken hearts and broken noses in the back. Is this a new year or just another desperation? You push until you're shoving, bend until you break. You stand on the broken fields where fathers lay. Be a day like this one, when the world caves in. When the world caves in. The world caves in. When the world caves in. When the world caves in. There's nothing here worth saving. There's no one here at all. Is there any net left that could break our fall? It'll be a day like this one when the sky falls down and the hungry and poor and deserted are found. Are you discontented? You've been pushing hard. You've been throwing down this broken house of cards. It'll be a day like this one when the world caves in. 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 Yeah. When the world caves in. The world caves in. Is there nothing left now? Nothing left to sing? Are there any left who haven't kissed the enemy? Is this a new year or just another desperation? Does justice never find you? Do the wicked never lose? Are there any honest songs to sing besides these blues? Nothing is okay till the world caves in. 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 Thank you. So, sorry.
Oh.
There we go.
You can say it's up early.
Have you ever felt that inner agitation where someone or a situation just kind of rubs you the wrong way? Have you ever felt that uncomfortable disturbance or aggravation, but wasn't quite sure what the problem was? On the flip side, maybe you felt quite sure as to what the problem was or why you felt the way. And it's usually the pointed finger, right? It's like that person there, or this problem here, or emotions are energies in motion. And when they are not properly held, when they are stirred or dismissed, they take on a phantom nature that has been called the shadow and the ego. And I wrote this book, The Shadow of the Self, that is a book of maxims on knowing the difference between the true self and the ego, the true self and the shadow. It's the shadow is not an easy entity to kind of clue in on because it so closely resembles us. Have you ever seen a child run from its shadow? It's like that thing that's so oddly you, but is also faceless and nameless that you think it's you. The shadow is the nebulous presence that we think is our true self, but there are a few key giveaways that reveal its masquerade. Cycles of unhealthy habits, negativity, and frustration. Emotional discomfort and the inability to hold emotions safely for ourselves. That means my ability to hold my emotions. Reveal my lack of capacity, intelligence, and safety for others. The thing about that is we don't always recognize our inability to hold our own emotions. If we are emotionally unavailable for ourselves, how can we truly be emotionally available for others? Emotional discomfort and the inability to hold emotions safely for and with others reveals our lack of capacity and intelligence and safety for ourselves. This is the mystery behind an ancient piece of wisdom that says, love your neighbor as yourself, which Jesus said was the second greatest principle of all. Of all the principles, this is the second best. Does anyone remember what the first one was? Yeah, what's the greatest?
Love yourself.
Close.
With all your heart.
Love yourself as I have loved you.
Ooh, close. Come on. Come on, we're close. Okay,
Love the Lord with all your heart.
yes, say that one out loud again.
Love the Lord with all your heart.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And the second one is like it, he says, love your neighbor as yourself. Love the true self with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, all your understanding, all that deep, fervent passion. Love I amness. Love God with everything you have. Because something about that sets you up to really love your neighbor as yourself. And of course, I amness is the self. So if I don't have correct relationship to I amness, I don't have correct relationship to anyone else. And it begins right here within me. This is why spiritual bypassing doesn't work. You know what I mean by spiritual bypassing?
Explain it a little bit.
Spiritual bypassing is doing something like showing up to this meeting every Sunday, perhaps, or once in a while, and feeling like you must be a good person just because you show up. So you bypass all the depth of emotion, all the things that the songwriter's saying about, wondering about what's happening. One thing he left out of the song was he did all of this outward looking, saying what's wrong with the world, but in the song there isn't much inner looking, saying what's wrong inside this world, which is me. Hi. There's a different song for that I didn't play today, but we're trying to hold both though by saying that this notion of love starts inside me and then it works its way outward. And because I know the songwriter's work so much, I know that he kind of holds that understanding while he writes about what's happening outside of him. You absolutely must do the work if you're going to call yourself a spiritual person, or else, this is a strong statement, I'm going to make it, or else you're just another religious person, going through the motions of convincing yourself that you are good and that you are okay, and that you have it all figured out and you got it all put together. And I can just speak for myself. I'm not interested in being that person. So, what is the work? It is recognizing your ego and the ego of the world. It is peeling back the layers of ego to recognize your true self. The true self. Falling into love with that and thereby overcoming the world. You cannot be attached to this world, okay, the ego matrix, and also be in love with yourself. Another very strong statement. You cannot be attached to this world, the ego matrix, and also be in love with yourself, capital S, indicating your true self, not your shadow self, not your ego self, who you truly are. And here's why I can say that with confidence about you can't be attached to this world. It's because this world is saying, don't be your true self. Nothing in this world is saying you should be exactly who you truly are and live to your fullest potential.
What about Mother Earth?
I'm not sure you mean by what about Mother Earth.
We come to live in this world by choice, and we come from a loving place. We become a what you call an ego self, perhaps, and in the ego self, there would be none without Mother Earth. And so listening to Mother Earth instead of focusing,
Yes, I'm following you now. Yes.
the heartbeat of
Yes.
Mother Earth.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's just another piece of love.
Right.
That's just and that's what you're talking about.
So-
love.
Also, the ego matrix tells you that you're not good enough. Your true self is not welcome. This is why we cannot be attached to this world. That means grasping on, holding on to, thinking we find our comfort in what the world is offering, and also be in love with the true self. The two things don't hold hands. Your true nature doesn't hold hands with the matrix. And by matrix, I'm very specific, the ego matrix. Because there is a true reality or a true matrix. But we're talking about the ego matrix, the false reality, the illusion of how things appear. Falling in love with that I am, consciously restores your power back to you, meaning you no longer operate as or under the influence of the ego. And the ancient word for ego, it means the enchanter, the whisperer of spells, synonymous with the deceptive serpent in the Garden of Eden. So the serpent that comes to Adam and Eve is a symbolic form of the ego. It is the thing that says, don't listen to your intuition. The ego says, did God really say? God didn't really say that. Your intuition didn't tell you that. That's the ego. Whisperer of spells, enchanter. The ultimate aim is to be a person that can hold not just some emotions, but all of them, which is the primary role of the sacred masculine. Sacred masculine doesn't just mean a biologically male being. Okay? When the man we call Jesus died, that was the proverbial message being sent. He was deciding to hold the emotion of the world and take responsibility for all of it. And he said his followers would do the same. This is a big deal because back to religion, I don't see religion saying, if we're going to follow Jesus, we will hold the emotions of the world and be ready to die for the world and take responsibility for it. I don't see that practiced in religion. I hear religion saying, well, he did that, but he's not really asking us to do it. But what about the part that says, take up your cross and follow me? He said that. He said, take up your cross and follow me. Do as I do. He said, all the great things I'm doing, you will be able to do them, and even greater things. That's in the book of John. It's very clear that his followers would do exactly as he does. Our aim is to be a community that can hold not just some emotions, but all of them. Our capacity to do so reveals the level or health of our emotional intelligence and the degree to which we can be a pillar of support in our relationships and in our community. So, what happens when a spiritual community begins to fracture or become fragmented? It reveals the lack of emotional intelligence. It reveals that something is off. What I'm talking about is emotional regulation and nervous system regulation. These are personal, first of all, like we've already said, and they are secondarily communal, which means in the community, if we're all practicing, then the community is strong. It is an established fact that the foundation of our regulation was made by our internal reaction to the environment created by our parents, our guardians, family members, our community, and the world. Is the world a safe place? Is the question that we're intuitively sensing out as small children. That's the beginning of our emotional regulation and our nervous system regulation. Ellen Kobe-Wan said, change becomes easy and almost effortless when you learn to read your inner signals. Every trigger is just a flare from your unconscious, highlighting the exact belief that's limiting your freedom and quietly offering you a map out.
Amen.
Every trigger. So when that person said the thing that triggered you, every trigger is a sign to you. Something's happening internally. You think it's about the other person. They might even think it's about them, right? But it's your trigger, and your trigger is your problem. It's not anyone else's problem. And we have to be careful because then that might give you a spiritual bypass. You say, oh, I triggered you, not my problem.
Oh.
That's ego all day long as well. Right? So there's no way out. Like you can't use any of this to scapegoat or hide or avoid or push down. Enlightenment favors the courageous. So on the left here, discomfort, inquiry, pondering. Why am I the way I am? Why are things the way they are? And being willing to own it and change it. this is the beginning of courage. This is the beginning of courage. The way Solomon wrote this, he said the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And that word Lord better translates as I amness. And the word fear better translates as respect, honor and respect. To honor and respect the great I amness, which is in each and every one of us, because we are the images of God, that is the beginning of wisdom. And it brings us to this point of where we deal with the discomfort, we start asking the question and wondering, what's happening? What's up with my trigger? Why am I bothered? Why am I upset? Without pointing the finger at the other person. What is enlightenment? On the right side, to be lit from within. Enlightenment. To awaken to a new discovery born from within your own presence and awareness, which is inseparable from that of the great I am, right? Your presence and awareness is inseparable from conscious awareness. It is an inner dawning, the dawn of new light or new illumination, new awareness, new perspective, and a new sense of self. And when the man we call Jesus mentioned being born again, he's referring to this kind of process that brings about a new world and it brings about a new person, and that person begins to experience a new world. It doesn't happen the other way around. There's no new world that you will suddenly begin to experience if you don't first change. So even the mention in the Bible of a new heaven and a new earth first indicates that there's a change that happens in us at the collective level, that the earth takes on a new form, because we're all consciously aware of something new and different. Yet we do not see the ways in which we are not courageous. We don't always see the ways in which we are incongruent, which means our thoughts and our words and our actions don't align. We don't always see the ways in which we are incoherent, which means our hearts and our minds are not in agreement. It means I can know something in my mind, but my heart's not ready to accept it or go with it yet, or vice versa. I know something in my heart that mentally I'm not prepared to hold, take responsibility for it. How do we prepare for the upgrade toward enlightenment when we do not know what we do not know? That's the unconscious becomes conscious. So here's a key to enlightenment. All negativity and all unhealthy habits are signs or markers of the ego, the false self, the false I am, the false God. So this is a heavy thing to realize, because it means if I don't have that honor and respect for the great I am, if I'm not loving the Lord God with all my heart, mind, and soul, I'm instantly out of alignment with life itself, and I am in alignment, in agreement with the ego, the serpent from the garden. There's no way to straddle the fence. This is why I said we can't be attached to the world and still be in love with the true self. The two things they don't mix. It's false God or it's true God. It's false self or true self. It is I am or I am not. But I am not is like saying not self. Or it comes out as I can't, or I'm afraid, or they did this to me. Like the victim talk starts to come out. The blame starts to come out. The rising of negativity and unhealthy habits is the rising of the unconscious. It is an opportunity, actually. The triggers are an opportunity. The addictions are an opportunity for the unconscious to become conscious. Unconscious becomes conscious, unknown becomes known, dark becomes light, heaven becomes earth. The unconscious becomes conscious, darkness becomes light, and a new world is born. So stirring emotions, that means there's a plot of emotion. There's a lot of people in the room, and we all bring an interesting recipe of emotions. Let's say the room is the pot, and someone, it doesn't matter who, wants to stir the pot, stir up the emotions.
Well, that's you right now.
Typically, stirring emotions has something to do with anxiety. It's like you feel something and you have to push the button. You have to stir it up, you know? Dismissing emotions are typically the result of avoidant behavior, but being able to sit with or hold and process emotions, that's the result of being a more secure personality. It means entering the space and going, ooh, I feel the buzz in the room. I'm going to sit and ground the space. I keep my mouth shut. Ground the space. A person who allows space for greater congruence and coherence within themselves is this secure type. A person who's truly courageous. This is back to the courage, right? Enlightenment favors the courageous. The ego wants to do a lot of talking. Wisdom says, and she is the sacred feminine, and King Solomon had a lot to say about her. One of the things he wrote about her nature is, there's much ignorance and much speaking. Meaning, can we feel when it's time to just settle down and say less? Holding emotions means making space for them, typo, like a parent holding a child. So we instantly are brought back to love. What's the nature of love? Holding emotions means making space for them, like a parent holding a child. This is love. So, a way to practice holding emotion. Look for the space between the breaths. Take a deep breath in, and when you get to the top of the breath, notice the presence. Breathe out, and when you reach the bottom of the breath, notice the stillness. Let's try it for 60 seconds. Just breathe in and out on your own. And at the top of your breath, right before it begins to fall, that's where you'll notice the presence. And the exhale, right at the bottom before it returns to the inhale, you notice the stillness. Look for the space between the breaths. And number 2, look for the space between the thoughts. Stop looking for the thought and just look for the space between them. The ego mind or the monkey mind keeps you looking for the thought, and that's the trap. Look for the space between the thoughts. Very simple practice that is very, very powerful. And recognizing the space between them creates a greater sense of awareness about the thought and about the breath, a gentle recognition of their content, their character. How does this breath feel? Is it rushed? Is it heavy? Is it shallow? How does that thought feel? Where did that come from? Making space for emotion or the situation or the circumstance is the opposite of resisting the emotion, situation, or circumstance. Pause there for a second because we find ourselves resisting oftentimes. Someone says something and we have to fire back. That's resistance. That's the opposite. Okay, the resistance is the ego. Shut it down and ask, what's my trigger? What's up with me? It's not really about the other person. This is an opportunity for me. What is my problem? It is also the opposite of chasing, pursuing, or needing things to be a certain way, right? That's what the firing back is about. Need it to be a different way. To hold the emotion is creating spaciousness to allow it to exist, accepting that it exists, which also allows the possibility of healing, ease, and rest to become a real experience for you. This is the true meaning of self-care and self-love. Holding or making space for emotions is just another way of saying, be with them. Don't avoid, don't suppress, or fixate on them. These feelings arise from expressive parts of you that are already exiled, already ignored, and already avoided. These are aspects of your ego, your shadow, not the true you. Only your careful attention will soothe them to the point of dissolution. Careful attention, like the parent holding the child. If you don't hold the child continues to act out. Have you created this kind of space for yourself? If you don't, you risk further exile and avoidance, further self-abandonment, and you continue to give your sovereignty to the ego, the false self, or the mimic. No one can hold you like you can. No one can parent you like you can. Okay. You must be able to be sacred space. It's something that you be. It's not something that you do. And you must be able to be simple presence with and for your very own broken and wounded heart. Bring whatever the problem is to the I am and bring I am to the problem. Can you sense that? I'm holding this thing, it's a problem, I'm bringing I amness to it, and I'm bringing it to I amness. And this is how the two become one. Dissonance, emotional turbulence, and incoherence resolve to peace. The two become one. The unconscious becomes conscious. The unconscious hides through the ego in the sacred masculine, the great unknown, the great unseen. This is the nature of the sacred masculine. It's this big, dark, giant, universal-sized container, and it holds everything. But since it's not at the forefront of awareness, because that's the sacred feminine, it's all of this egoic stuff can hide in the shadows. Hence the name, shadow. It hides in the darkness. It hides in the great unknown. And the reason it hides there is because it knows you're not very likely to look there. It's easy for us to see with awareness, because that's what that's about. But this hidden stuff, we're talking spiritual language, right? The hidden stuff, well, it's not obvious. It's difficult to get awareness to turn within and go towards consciousness and to the great unknown, the great unseen. And this is why you miss it. This is why we miss it. It's literally tucked away and hidden in something that is unfathomably dark and huge. Dark, I don't mean evil. Dark, I mean it is the great unknown. It is the realm of pure possibility. It is borderless. It is nameless. It is without shape. It is infinite. It is timeless. The conscious is sacred feminine, which says, I know and I see. Intuition or discernment is a signal that is birthed just outside the border of the sacred feminine at the center of love and moves into her territory as knowing. The sacred feminine is the sensitivity and ability to receive the information. Thanks for asking the question about the intuition.
You're welcome.
Was that just added?
Oh yeah. I wasn't trying to add it. It wasn't there. That paragraph wasn't there. And I was just trying to get things pulled together, and that just pulled through. This is why the two must become one. Your full success depends on this unity, the center of love where sacred masculine, and sacred feminine meet as one. The unconscious becomes conscious when we make space for it, meaning we are receptive to it and willing to follow its leading. We will blame everything and everyone else until we finally realize we are the common denominator in every one of our interactions. Oh, that's such a simple truth and so still difficult to settle into. I'm the common denominator in all my interactions. So the 20 people in the room or so, I don't take you everywhere I go, right? You're not always there. I'm the one who's always there. It's always just me. And if I see you at the cafe or at the bookstore or wherever, and I keep going, why does this keep happening to me? It's not because of you. I'm the one who's always there in those places, and you were just there that one time. When you have the courage to be curious, no matter what is revealed, look for the unknown, the answer will come. The darkness becomes light. So what is the uncomfortable thought? I'm sure you have more than one. What is the fear? What is the concern? Why have you been afraid for so long? Something's been chasing you for years. I promise we will have questions at the end, okay? And other thoughts. So also, if you have pen and paper to write down your thoughts, that may be helpful. This is your time. Practice holding the space. What's the uncomfortable thought? What is the fear? What is the concern? Why have you been afraid for so long? Choose one, choose them all, but just take a moment. Take a moment to just hold it, to just be with it. You don't have to run from it. That is the lie from the ego that says, keep shoving it away, keep running from it. Because the ego knows as soon as you actually take a good look, you'll realize there was nothing to fear in the first place, and that you can instantly overcome. That the big bad wolf that you imagined actually isn't even real. Just hold it, knowing it will pass. You can sit with it, and you don't have to do anything about it other than be present with it and know that this little frightened, childlike part of you is waiting for your attention and your care. Waiting for your conscious awareness. This allows the great intelligence to handle it because you're no longer avoiding it or suppressing it. You are no longer surrendering the problem to your ego. Okay, so understand the ego can't help you with this. But this is the ego is the one you've given it over to. So if you take a look with that conscious awareness that says, what is my issue? What's my problem? What am I concerned with? That allows the true intelligence to kick in and go, finally, you're ready to take a look. We can handle this. In this way, you are your own greatest enemy. Whatever your problem is with me, I'm just here reflecting it back to you unconsciously, right? I don't know I'm reflecting it back to you, but you are your own greatest enemy. The space you are creating is that of the sacred masculine, the raw power of the great I am, which contains or holds space for the whole universe. Okay, I'm going to read that one again. The space you are creating is that of the sacred masculine. the raw power of the great I am, which contains or holds space for the whole universe. Okay, another way of saying that is, if you will decide to hold space for these emotions and these feelings and this circumstance and all the craziness in the world, you decide to hold space for it, you're instantly accessing the raw power which contains the universe. This is why Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. This is it. You can access this at any time. It just takes a little courage. Enlightenment favors the courageous. Just a little courage to say, I can sit with this. I can hold this. And then the true self, okay, the image of God in you steps forward and says, yes, I can. Now, through the stillness of the unconscious, creative action, consciousness arises. Your ego, your fear, your avoidance will never be able to give you this kind of power and freedom. This is what's at stake. You can keep on doing it the way you've been doing it. If you would like to keep living that way. Fear became our default when we were growing up, and to this day, we're still concerned with what others think and what others will do, because we are also afraid of what we think and what we might do. That's very unconscious. Okay? The unconscious part is we don't always like ourselves and haven't found the reason to really start doing so because we don't yet know who we are. Truly knowing who we are. Nor have we taken full stock of how dangerous or dark we can be. Nor how loving we can be. That's the darkness and the light. Not taking stock of how dangerous you can be, not taking stock of how wonderful you can be. You're human, right? Are there humans in the room? So you can lie, yes?
Oh,
You can cheat, yes?
yes.
You could steal, yes? You could hate. You could murder.
Sure. Yeah.
Take stock of it and see. It's possible. That's how you get to understanding what the light is like, why you choose not to act out in those ways, because your true nature is love. That's why you don't choose to do the others. So you see how if we just jump to bypass to I'm love and didn't want to look at any of the dark stuff, well, it's like, well, your love is like this big then. Because the little bit of darkness you can hold reflects the little bit of light you can hold. So if you can hold the full gamut of emotion, then you're ready to handle the full gamut of light and love and peace, fullness of what the I Amness is offering. So also is a thing that some people come up with is not understanding how God could be an angry God. And I just explained it. God is the full gamut of emotion. And in our human, egoic way of thinking, immature way of thinking, we don't understand how God could be angry because we don't understand our own anger. Another way of saying that is you couldn't feel anger if God didn't feel anger because you are the image of God. You are a conscious awareness in human form. So, is this making sense?
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to access anger if God didn't have access to anger. That's just how it works. This is all by intelligent design because the unconscious must become conscious. Consciousness must become awareness. Fear of the unknown is the unconscious fear hidden by the ego. Self-knowledge is what we do not know or what we do not have. Okay? So we have been stuck in the habit of self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is unforgivable until you stop doing it. This is the mystery behind something Jesus said when he said about blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. Okay? Holy Spirit is another way of saying sacred breath. It is the same word as wind. Wind, breath, and spirit. When we say the space between the breaths, we're talking about something that's sacred. When we feel the wind against our skin, we're feeling something that is sacred. This is the Holy Spirit. This is the sacred breath, wind, presence of God. Socrates said, "Know thyself." Remember when I hope earlier I said something about why does God allow suffering, or why does the victim mindset that says, why does this always happen to me? The suffering is the only path to our awakening. Suffering is our only hope of enlightenment. The cycle of suffering leads to our eventual realization, for better or for worse. I've had enough. I can't deal with this anymore. And there's no other way to reach this point. There's no other way to reach it except to be frustrated again and again and again before saying, I have had enough. And so, have you? Okay. Yes. Good. All the contrast allows us the opportunity to recognize who we are, if we will recognize who we are. How does anyone here enjoy being treated unfairly?
No,
No way. Does anyone here like being discriminated against?
no,
Okay. Does anyone here hope to see people you care about suffer? No. Well, does anyone here hope someone would take or steal your things from you? Okay. So you mean you'd like to be treated fairly? Is that it? And that you value a safe and peaceful life? Is that it?
yes.
Sure.
Okay, so are you capable of seeing that every person in this room holds those same values as you do?
Sure.
How about in the city of Anchorage? Can you see that everyone holds those same values? Maybe throughout the state of Alaska, maybe throughout the Western Hemisphere, maybe throughout the whole world. Or you don't think it might be better to just get all you can for yourself, no matter what the cost to anyone else? So are you willing to stand for a world in which that kind of life is possible for you and everyone else, no matter the cost? And then, so what's all the arguing about? What's all the fighting about? You've forgotten your most true values. This is self-abandonment number one. When you have to argue and fight with people, you are abandoning your own self. You haven't yet had enough if you're still arguing with people. Do you hold your emotions or do you reach for them? Holding your emotions is expressing leadership, self-parenting, responsibility, emotional intelligence, self-regulation, having a healthy relationship with yourself. This is love. This is love, being able to hold your own emotions rather than reaching for them. Reaching for your emotions is like reaching for sugar or a cigarette or alcohol or whatever it is. When you get stressed, you reach instead of hold. Instead of holding the emotion, you have to hold something else, right? You have to avoid it. You have to exile it. You have to push it down. You have to push it away. Ironically, if you don't hold the emotions, you end up reaching for them through substance abuse. This means you made the emotions greater than yourself. You subordinated yourself to the emotion as if they are your safety and your security. Every time we react emotionally, grabbing whatever the substance is, we make ourselves slaves to the emotions, slaves to this energy that is in motion. And in that moment, we've handed away our sovereignty. That is self-abandonment, and that is unforgivable until you stop. What is the unforgivable thing? It just means we live in a universe that has laws, and as long as you continue acting that way, you continue to reap the consequences of acting that way. This is God's judgment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just that there are laws to life, and the mind is powerful. It's that simple. Because when we say mind, we mean conscious awareness, right? It infiltrates every single thing. We can't escape conscious awareness. So you cannot bypass and think you're getting away with anything. You can't wear a spiritual cloak to the atom center and think you're hiding anything. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Make the two into one. Jesus saw infants. This is from the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the pseudepigrapha books that is not included in the canon of the Bible. He said to his disciples, "These infants being suckled are like those who enter the kingdom of God." They said to him, "Shall we then as children enter the kingdom?" And he said, "When you make the two into one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and female one and the same, so that male not be male nor female, then you will enter the kingdom of God." This is just a simple way that he put it into terms about bringing the two into one. The unconscious becoming conscious. The unifying or the marrying of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. And all the ways it can empower your life and your relationships and your businesses. And your businesses. Ooh. There's so much more that can be said about that, but I'm just going to keep moving forward. When you make the unknown known, and you make the masculine feminine, and the feminine masculine, the marriage is when the two become one. When the masculine expands and chooses to hold the feminine, and she settles or rests into him. Dissonance becomes assonance. That means the stress or the friction just smooths out. Disharmony becomes peace. Imbalance becomes balance. One is magnetic or grounding, and one is electric or lively and active. He submits to hold what is necessary. That means he melds into the feminine as a sense of his own selfhood. She submits to be held, which means she melds into the masculine as a sense of her own selfhood. They take on one another's form. This is death and rebirth. The old limited sense of self dies to something larger, greater, better, healthier. And it's represented in the birth of the child, right? We just came through the Christmas season, the birth of the child. When these two marry, masculine and feminine, I amness. One is I and one is am. They come together, it's the birth of the child. A new life. A new sense of being. She is safe when he can hold all her emotions while also inviting her to unity, coherence, congruence through all the dimensions. And this is peace. And though he is not meant to create space for disrespect. He is safe when she can hold all of his emotions while also inviting him to accepted expression, which means I, you, we can see, hold, and respect your emotions. Though she is also not meant to create space for disrespect. Every time we have accepted disrespect, we have self-abandoned. Every time. And of course, boundaries of disrespect are determined by the unique context and dynamics of the relationship. Okay, so I'm saying there's no one size fits all to what disrespect means for you and your relationship to whatever. Trying to decide where to go next because there's so much. This feels appropriate. I'm going to take you to my Bible Redefined project and a passage from 1 Corinthians 13. So if you go to lantower.net, you will find Bible Redefined under this tab here. Bible Redefined is right there, and then there's the library. So the library is here. It's free, and you can word search for whatever you might want to find as far as Old Testament, New Testament stuff. So I'm going to search for love, L-O-V-E, and I'm looking for 1 Corinthians. So I'm just going to tab through until 1 Corinthians pops up. And there it is. What is love? 1 Corinthians 13. We are interested in verses 10 through 13. So I'm just going to scroll down. And here's verse 10. I know it's small. Let's see. How do I get it larger? Command. Oops. It's a little better.
It's better. Yep.
There we go. There we go. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. That is how it's typically translated. So here's the THV version. But at the time when that which is the complete, mature, perfect, truly just and full thing, the truth of love becomes known, then that which is imperfect, incomplete, immature, and partial will be inactive and inoperable. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Okay? That's the typical translation. So here it is again. When I was simple-minded, unskilled, untaught, and unaware, I used words in order to declare my mind and disclose my thoughts in the way of a simple-minded person. The way a simple-minded person would. The way I exercised my mind and mental disposition. The way I felt and thought and my opinions were that of an immature person. But when I became mature, realizing with spiritual intelligence and virtue, that which is complete and full within me, my simple-minded and immature ways of understanding and expressing were brought to an end. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as also I am known. Right now, in this immature state, we mentally discern, observe, perceive, discover, and understand as looking into a steel mirror, at an enigma, a proverb, a mystery, a riddle, an obscure thing. But then, when we become aware of the true reality and ultimate conclusion, we will discern, observe, perceive, discover, understand, and experience it perfectly as if it is face to face. In an immature state, I know, understand, and perceive incompletely. But when the reality of I amness and the obviousness of unity reaches maturity in my understanding, I will become thoroughly acquainted with it, knowing thoroughly and accurately, just as much as I am thoroughly and accurately known, like staring at my own self. And now abides faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. Moreover, besides all this, at this very moment, these three exist. Faith, which is strong conviction, unwaveringly, persuaded and convicted assuredness, confident inner proof that truth and good is and has been done. Hope is joyful, confident expectation, and love. Love, the I am of all I ams. The greatest, largest, strongest, and eldest of these is love, the true identity. The simple, resistance free. Resistance free. It is simple and it is resistance free. Awareness of goodwill, affection, and adoration within, for, and as sacred unity. The interdependent one and the sameness of diversity. The essence and nature of the cooperative, interconnected, self-worthy universe, which is also a way of saying unity and diversity. Love, the reason every story begins. Love, the passion of hope and sharing for the growth and benefit of all. Love, the force that includes and justly governs all others. Love, the phenomenon behind all phenomena. Love, the gravity of all that is magnetic and attractive. Love, multiplying the best, graciously giving breath and sun and rain to all. Love, the unfolding and revealing. Love, for which we would live and die. Love, the energy and meaning, from which energy and meaning arise. Ignored yet inevitable. Misunderstood yet believed. Love was, is, and will always be first, and still be when everything else fades away. What the writer is referring to about this enigma, and it was dark at first, but now I see it perfectly. It's just look in the mirror. It's just look in the mirror. All this time, you've been looking in the mirror, and you have not seen love. You haven't seen it. You haven't seen yourself. It's time. It's time to see yourself. Okay, I'm going to hop back over to that slideshow. Here. Yes. That. Okay. Okay, so the thieving and mimicking ego matrix. This is just a way of saying the world, right? The thief comes to kill and to steal and to destroy, but I came that they can have life and have it abundantly. I don't really think I need to say much about this, except to mimic is to imitate, copy, impersonate, mock, simulate, make believe, and pretend. So it's just another way of talking about this serpent thing, this ego thing, that is pretending to be you, but it's just a mimic. And it has come to take everything from you. It has come to take I amness from you. But the I am, the true self exists. So you can consciously experience the superior and super abundant way of living, completely immersed in the life which I am, of I am, by I am. So what if I told you this planet, this plane of existence, this realm we live in is a harvesting ground?
A what?
Not for your soul. Your soul is sovereign, it is eternal, it is untouchable, but it's a harvesting ground for your frequency, right? We said energy and motion, energy, frequency, vibration, and we're saying that we live in this intelligent universe that gives us a reflection of ourselves. Every emotion you feel emits a signal. Every thought you repeat broadcasts a tone. Fear, stress, guilt, shame, urgency. That is energy that the matrix and the ego just wants to feed on and use. But joy and presence and love and neutrality and clarity and expansiveness, these are uncontrollable energies. What if these systems or cycles and pressures here aren't so random, but designed to keep our attention fractured so that our frequency stays predictable? If you've been to some of the Tribe of I Am meetings, we've talked about the scale of consciousness. How the higher we raise in consciousness, we begin to pull the world up with us. So what if these systems are meant to keep us at lower levels of consciousness so we don't get anywhere? So this whole transformation that would bring about a new heaven and new earth experience is slower to be realized. But this awareness, just being aware, means the harvest fails. The ego harvest fails. Just us being aware. Awareness collapses the mechanism. Presence dissolves the trap. You stop leaking your energy into this machine or into this world system, and you start circulating it within yourself. You respond instead of react. You breathe instead of panic. You choose neutrality where chaos was once the thing you would jump into. You see the space between the thoughts and the space between the breaths. You find the opportunities to stay grounded because you know it grounds the space and it helps pull people up and out of the mimic frequency. And this is where the game kind of comes to an end. Like the ego's been playing this game on us for so long. We don't have to rebel. We don't have to force it. We just get to be really clear on who we are. And we get to keep choosing that. And as I've already said or I've alluded to, when enough of us remember this, the field changes and the illusion thins and the realm must either evolve or lose its power entirely. So you've heard people saying about the shift in the world, and we're going from 3D to 5.3 to 5D, sorry. That's what is being said, you know, there's a shift. And the shift is for you. The shift is for you, first of all. The world can't change if you don't change, first of all. The world won't be humble enough to accept how challenging the shift might be unless you are humble enough to accept how challenging the shift might be. We are meant to outgrow it. And when we read that from 1 Corinthians, he was saying, I was once immature and I became mature. I was seeing things imperfectly and I started to see them a little more perfectly. Like that's the maturation process. Awareness is the exit, stillness is the shield, presence is the cheat code. When you hold your frequency steady, the loops stop looping, the scripts lose their power, the triggers no longer hook into you. You begin to move differently, time feels less rigid, synchronicities replace struggle. The realm starts responding instead of resisting. You'll start seeing these things snowball in your life. More of the goodness starts showing up. This is when you realize the harvest was never about control, it was about your unconscious participation. And once you withdraw your energy, you become invisible to the mechanism, and all this abundant fortune begins to flow into your life. So are you resting or are you chasing? Are you resting or are you avoiding? For so long we have chased in order to receive attention and validation. We want to prop ourselves up and feel good, find a soapbox to stand on, prove our worth. We were living unconsciously, but now we are aware. The unconscious becomes conscious. Can you stay coherent under pressure? Will you? Can you participate with conscious awareness rather than being reactive? Will you? You can stay emotionally regulated and remain centered, but will you?
Right.
The great I am does not chase nor avoid anything. The great I am has nothing to prove. I amness is here and now, as the space between breaths, the space between thoughts, the very core fabric of reality, the very backdrop and the pure screen of everything happening in your projecting awareness. I mean, you're the ones projecting, right? And I amness is just there as the screen to let you see what you're projecting. I'm just going to close by saying a little bit about this. Let's see. Yes, about this. And in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's the unknown and the known. What was known, it didn't have form yet. It was still in its darkness. and it was upon the face of the deep. That means limitless potential. And the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God, the sacred feminine, she moved upon the face of the waters. She hovered over pure, limitless potential, which means something's about to change. She came down to meet sacred masculine. And this is why God said, let there be light. And there was light. And the light was good. And duality was born. Light and darkness, right? The very beginning. There's so much more I could say about this, but when Jesus said about being born again, the word in Aramaic is a nearly identical word to the ancient Hebrew word for beginning. The words are different by like one letter. So when he said something about being born again, the listener may have picked up on he's referring to the creation story about being born. This is a birth thing that's happening here. And that you, human being, are meant to experience light coming out of darkness, unconscious becoming conscious. You are meant to know this. You are meant to know that this as your birthright. And at the end of this, right, there were 6 days of creation, and it says on the seventh day God rested and offered humans to do the same. It's called a Shabbat or a Sabbath. It has little to do with a certain day of the week. It's something that happens inside, that you can enter into rest. All of the fighting and avoiding and repressing and numbing, you can rest. You no longer have to work and fight. You can step into your I amness and experience this rest. All of the work has been done. I'm telling you that with your courage and your willingness to integrate the two becoming one and rest, these are the ways for darkness to become light, for a new world to be born. Meaning your past is healed, your fears are overcome, and your full potential comes to light. And if you would like to know more about how to enter into this rest, come in and talk to me. I want to offer something special for an opportunity to understand how do I bring this creation story into my life and then enter into rest. So I'll leave it there. I'm the first speaker for the speaker series at Adams Center. Adrian's speaking next week, and then Jim Larson, who is here, and there's Adrian there, and Ivan will be the last of the month. He's over here. And so Adrian will be talking on the power of surrender, how allowing sets you free. It sounds like that's going to fit in very nicely. And actually, this kicked off this morning when Karen spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the title of the talk this morning?
It was consciousness into the new year.
Yes, consciousness into the new year. So also fit very well with this whole bit. And thank you for being here. I'm going to pass the basket here. And are there any other announcements? Anything happening this week? I'm gonna get this out here.
I don't think anything else is happening this week. We've got new moon the week after.
The week after.
But just Adrian next.
Wednesday meditation,
Well, of course, Wednesday meditation
meditation.
always happening.
At what time?
7 o'clock, right here.
7 o'clock on Wednesday. Good.
Here, I'll go get some.
Thank you.
No, I'm new, so I'm just staying.
You're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's see what's up, shall we?
Thank you, Lance.
You're very welcome.